What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham Cheese Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking WWE photo shoot featuring Big Show, the episode that aired after Raw this past Monday on the WWE Network, August 19th to be exact. So basically, if you've never seen an episode of Photo Shoot before, it's pretty simple. The superstars sit down and relive photos from their career, lives, and reminisce on those moments. The first picture that we see here with Big Show is from the first ever photo shoot that he did, ever. Not just for WCW, but just ever, which makes sense because I think he was like a basketball player in high school, college, before he, started wrestling, so that would make sense. It was for the WCW magazine. He was only 23 years old at that point, which is crazy to think about because I'm 24 right now. I had no idea Big Show was fucking 23 when he signed to WCW. That's unbelievable. But the whole theme of the magazine photo shoot was that he was like in the middle of an earthquake, wrecking buildings, so it had like an earthquake-like set. And he had never done a photo shoot before, like I said. So he had no idea what he was doing when this whole thing was going on. We talked about how being Andre's son, which he was portrayed as in WCW, it was said that he was Andre the Giant's son. That was his gimmick. It was tough because fans would come up to him, he said, and they'd be like, oh, we loved your dad. We loved Andre. We were such big fans. And he'd be like, yeah, me too. And he's like, oh, he's not my dad. My dad was actually like a mechanic or whatever. But thanks for saying that, But still, that's what WCW wanted at that time. And he said, when you're starting out, you got to make an impact. We then see a picture of Randy Savage, Macho Man. He said, I loved him, that he was very good to him. They spent a lot of time in Florida together when he first started out in WCW. I guess they lived like right next to each other, and like he would show up at Big Show's house and take him to the gym and stuff like that, which is super cool. And he also said that he helped him out with a lot of the things in the ring too, like psychology-wise, stuff like that. They went up and down the road together, and it was kind of sad. You could tell that Big Show was getting emotional, and he's a pretty emotional person, but this was kind of sad to watch. He goes, the older you get, the more friends you lose. But he did say that he was a good dude, though. He also talks about the monster truck match from WCW. We see a picture of that. He talked about how, I don't know if it was during the actual monster truck match or during like the preview for it when they filmed something similar shortly beforehand with him like running over Hulk Hogan's motorcycle, where they put a block on his pedal so he could only press the gas so far or something along those lines. But I guess when they were filming the stunt before the actual monster truck match, like I said, he ran over Hogan's motorcycle on some segment before the match that set up the match with the monster trucks. The steering wheel broke the first time, but he was strong enough to move it himself, which is pretty amazing. He said that it was a lot of fun, and he could have died. He said if he died the next day, he would have been a happy man because it was a lot of fun for him growing up on monster trucks and stuff like that. It was a really cool thing to try out. He then talks about facing the Yeti back in 1995. I think it was at a WCW pay-per-view. I know it was obviously WCW. I don't know if it was a pay-per-view or an episode of Nitro. I think it was shortly after Nitro went on the air. But anyway, the Yeti was played by a man named Ron Reese. And I guess Reese asked Savage before he went out there, like, how to be a zombie. Like, do I put my arms out? Like, that type of thing, which is kind of funny. And he goes, Big Show describes this as the infamous night that Hulk Hogan got humped by a Yeti. And I'm sure I've seen the footage before, but like, Big Show has Hogan in like a bear hug, and this guy dressed as a fucking Yeti for some reason. The Yeti, the zombie, whatever. Not quite the zombie from ECW's launch night on Sci-Fi back in 2006, but like your typical mummy. It was a mummy, but they called it the Yeti, whatever. Where he came out and then like grabbed Hogan from the backside after Big Show had him from the front, and he just started fucking going to town on the guy for some reason. I don't know why, but that's what he was told to do. Big Show said, not my greatest night in the wrestling ring. He also said that he was so green at that point, talking about himself, and that he had never really had a match before, but Hogan took care of him, which was really cool, he said. We see a picture of him with the plaque for Rookie of the Year, I believe awarded to him by PWI either in 95 or 96. He had just unwrapped it when the picture got taken, which is pretty cool. I guess Shawn Michaels, he had believed, was the Wrestler of the Year that year, which would make sense if it was 95, 96. And if so, he said that was pretty cool company to be in. We then see a picture of him escaping the ring, and it looks like he's coming out of fucking Stone Cold's butt here when they're at St. Valentine's Day Massacre 1999, the night that Paul White, Big Show, debuted in WWE during the Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon Steel Cage main event. He talks about how he had to sit under the ring. I don't know if it was for the entire pay-per-view, but for a while. I don't know if it was even before the match or whatever, but it was still for a significant period of time. And he got cramps sitting under the ring. His hamstrings got tight, he said, which was funny. Vince, I guess, hated the name Paul White, which is so fucking funny because they ended up calling him the Big Show. He hated Paul White because he thought it was so generic. Okay, but he went ahead and just called him the Big Show. How is that much better? You know what I'm saying? I guess Big Show fits him better now just because we all know him. We've all known him as that for over 20 years now. But still, like, if you say that to any non-wrestling fan, oh, the Big Show, like, does that even make the slightest bit of sense, you know? And how he found out was he was backstage. I don't know if it was before that show because they called him Paul White on the pay-per-view. They didn't call him, I don't think they called him the Giant from WCW, although the crowd did, chant that at him a few times after he debuted, like the next night on Raw. I think he started going as the Big Show the very next night on Raw, not at the pay-per-view itself. But Vince went up to him and said, "Hey, how's the Big Show today?" And that's how he found out that his name would be the Big Show, which is a pretty funny story. Big Show always thought that it was a silent FU to WCW just because it was such a dumb name. That they were the real Big Show and not WCW. You get it? Like, that's so stupid, but that's what Big Show thinks. And honestly, that's not a terrible theory to have because it would make sense. And he said the whole thing was just insane. The debut, the name, everything. We see a picture of him, or rather Vince talking to him. It appeared to be like on an episode of Raw back in 99, 2000. He couldn't believe it was Vince at first, which is kind of funny. But he said that all of his earliest training of like presentations and promos and stuff like that, learning how to, carry yourself in promos and really just as a WWE superstar, all of that training came originally from Vince McMahon. He learned firsthand by Vince himself when he first came into the company how to present himself in promos and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. We see a picture of him with Stone Cold Steve Austin taking down the Titantron. I vaguely remember this. I don't think this was a big moment in Raw's history. It might have been right before they debuted a new Titantron. So Big Show and Stone Cold were told to go out there and just rip the current one apart. It was like a fucking like little screen, like a movie theater screen, It was really like cheap looking. But he thought it was cool to go out there and do that. And Big Show, or rather Stone Cold, was urging Big Show to drink. And Big Show said that he felt like he was going to throw up from drinking so much. And Stone Cold told him to drink anyway, which is funny. We see a picture of Big Show with The Rock, and Big Show says, "You guys can't imagine how fun it was back then being around him." And I'm sure The Rock is amazing just to be around, be friends with, just to talk to. The guy seems so fucking cool even back in 1999. But he said that he was always cool with Big Show from day one, and that he's on a whole other level of talent and charisma. He's just on a completely different stratosphere of superstardom, and that they had a lot of fun together back in the day. We see a picture of Big Show with The Undertaker, and these guys go way back, like back to when Big Show first debuted in the company, 99, 2000. They were they were tag team partners for a while. They were rivals multiple times. Big Show, he said, Big Show had said about The Undertaker that Undertaker cussed him out every time he did something wrong. And that teaming with him was fun because he got to learn from him a lot, but working against him, he said, was very stressful early on. But Undertaker, he does give him credit. He does say that Undertaker pushed him harder in the ring than anyone else, and that it was one of the coolest honors of his career to eventually be accepted by Undertaker as a peer, which is pretty cool. We see a picture of the 9/11 tribute show from obviously 2001. Big Show said, which, obviously Big Show was a part of that. He said that Vince did not want to be intimidated by terrorist attacks, and that Vince gave everyone an option, like, if you don't want to be a part of this, you don't have to be, but everyone participated, and Big Show called it a magical night. A magic night, he said. We see a picture of him getting shot right in the ass by Kurt Angle with the tranquilizer dart. That was actually the same night he got shaved bald by Kurt Angle in the middle of the ring. He said that Kurt Angle was his riding partner back then. He loves the picture of him. It's that famous picture from SmackDown's history where Big Show's just like down and out in the middle of the ring, and then Kurt Angle's on top of him in the midst of shaving his head, posing for a picture. It's a great picture, and Big Show said that he loves it. He said that he was going bald anyway, so this was WWE's way of shaving his head. I guess it was WWE's decision, because he's like, yeah, I guess he didn't want to come over for a giant or whatever. He was joking about it, so I guess that was their decision to shave him bald on the show. But it was Big Show's idea for him to get shot in the ass by tranquilizer dart. I guess Big Show was on a big hunting kick at that point, watching a lot of hunting shows. So he thought he knew what he was doing, but he ended up getting shot, I think, more by Kurt Angle than he needed to. And Kurt Angle went a little extreme with it, and Big Show was like, it hurt. He said it hurt to get shot in the ass with that gun. They would never do something like that today. But he did say he had a lot of fun working with Kurt Angle. We see a picture of Big Show getting AA, the Attitude Adjustment by John Cena at WrestleMania 25. That also had, Edge on Cena's shoulders too. Big Show said that he got down to 473 pounds for that match after being at probably well over 500. I think he was billed at 500 for the match, if I'm not mistaken, but he got down to 473 to make that spot happen. He praises Cena's strength as unlike anything else he's ever experienced before in a wrestling ring. He teased, actually, during a tour of Peru. This is a really interesting story. I never knew this. But during a tour of Peru, now I don't know if this was in late 2008 or early 2009, because the Cena Edge story started in like mid-February, right before WrestleMania. It wasn't a long-term story. They started it right around Elimination Chamber, or No Way Out, Elimination Chamber, whatever. In February, right before Mania. Kind of came together at the last minute, but I'm not exactly sure when WWE came up with the idea to do Edge and Cena at WrestleMania, but that was the original plan, to do Cena and Edge one-on-one. I'm sure their original plan was to do Cena and Batista one-on-one at WrestleMania 25, but after a certain point when Big Show, or rather Batista, wasn't cleared to compete yet, he didn't end up coming back until the night after WrestleMania 25. They probably decided, all right, fuck it, we'll just go with Cena and Edge instead. So Big Show, during this tour of Peru, going back to the original point here, teased Cena about, it'd be great to be your WrestleMania opponent, ha ha ha. And Big Show already knew well enough by that point that Cena was facing Edge. It was already pretty much set in stone. Again, I don't know when exactly this was, that this run-in with Cena and Big Show happened, with Big Show teasing that, he would be Cena's opponent for Mania. But Cena took it seriously, and he really wanted to add Big Show to the match, because he knew what Big Show did for him 5 years earlier, when Big Show when Cena beat Big Show to become the first, to win his first United States Championship at WrestleMania 20, which is pretty cool. So Cena ultimately got him added to the angle with Edge. And he said that Cena is always willing to help others, including people that helped put him over years earlier. So I thought that was awesome. We see a picture of Big Show getting spewed by the sewage tank by Eddie Guerrero on an episode of SmackDown in late 2003. Just fucking disgusting, but he did have a lot of fun working with Eddie, though. He said that this was, Eddie was one of the classic great ones with so much talent to work with and just a lot of fun. And he, Big Show then admits something we all already knew, and that Vince loves poop jokes, and that's why this segment happened here, which is just fucking gross. Again, I would say that nothing like this would ever happen again, but we saw something similar to this with John Cena, Dolph Ziggler, and AJ Lee about 7 years ago on Raw in 2012, so never say never. We have a lot of fucking poop segments on these shows, which is just disgusting, but that's Vince McMahon's humor for you. The next picture we see is of Floyd Money Mayweather breaking Big Show's nose at the No Way Out 2008 pay-per-view when Big Show returned, and they got immediately punched in the fucking nose by Big Show, like legit, and he was bleeding all over the place. Big Show's told this story before, and he lost his mind at the sight of his own blood. And he said that Floyd gets it as an entertainer, as someone in the entertainment business. He just gets it. And then after Floyd punched him, he ran to the back. Big Show went after him. Floyd booked it. Floyd fucking booked it. And Big Show booked it too. He ran through everyone in his path, except for Shane. Shane came out, which I don't think Shane had been seen on TV at that point for a while, and he was not seen on TV after that for a while, until like later on in 2008. But Shane went up to him and was like, "Are you okay?" And Big Show's like, yeah, I'm fine. And then Shane goes, "That was awesome. Like, that was great," which is really cool. Big Show then talks about filming a Chef Boyardee commercial, probably he had short hair at this point, so like 01, 02 probably. He thought he was well on his way to making more endorsements, doing more endorsements and commercials and stuff like that. Obviously was not the case. They sent him so much fucking Chef Boyardee, apparently, that he just could not eat it all, and he just brought a lot of the cases to homeless shelters, which is pretty cool. But he did have fun shooting the commercial, though. We see the next picture is of him breaking the ring with Brock Lesnar on that iconic episode of SmackDown in 2003? 2003, I want to say, not 04. No, it was 03. It was 03. Maybe it was 02, but I'm pretty sure it was 03. Anyway, he said that it was a great night. SmackDown was just starting to beat Raw in the ratings, and I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but it would make sense given the time period because they were kind of competitive rating-wise at that time. But he praised the SmackDown crew, and it was an interpromotional rivalry. It was all within the company, but they were very two different crews. If you were a Raw guy, you bled red. But if you were a SmackDown guy, you bled blue. So it was cool. And he called it a good time to be in the WWE with the whole brand supremacy stuff. We see a picture of Sabu for some reason. I'm like, why the fuck are they showing a picture of Sabu? It's because Big Show faced him for the ECW Championship, not in the original ECW, obviously, but on WWE's version of ECW back in the day, 2006. I want to say it's SummerSlam. He called Sabu one of wrestling's first daredevils. And I guess in the match that they had, maybe it was at SummerSlam or an ECW, I don't remember. But the table that Sabu put Big Show through just like snapped before Big Show even went through it. And the crowd, kind of responded accordingly, but that was the ECW rowdy crowd for you on any given week. We see a picture of him dancing with Rikishi. He said that he did segments like that to be entertaining, and I thought he succeeded. We see a picture of him beating Sheamus for the World Heavyweight Championship back at Hell in a Cell 2012. He got really beat up working with Sheamus, and he was wondering why he had so many bruises. It's because fucking Sheamus punched and kicked him so hard, and they just beat the hell out of they beat the hell out of each other in that feud over the course of 2012 into 2013, but that's when the Alberto Del Rio Big Show feud started. But he said that was one of his last real competitive runs in WWE, that being with Sheamus. And honestly, I will tell you this right now, I thought they had a pretty good series of matches. Way better than it had any right to be. Probably the best Big Show match I've ever fucking seen. And Big Show's had some good matches, but that match with Sheamus at Hell in a Cell 2012 is probably the best Big Show match I have ever seen in my entire life. And it does not sound like a good match. The feud sucked going into that pay-per-view. But they went in there and fucking killed it. So kudos to them for having such a great match. And he said that Sheamus is a good dude with good energy. We see a picture of Big Show after having lost a lot of weight a few years ago. He said he took 90 pounds off in 7 months, which is very impressive. With diet and exercise, that's what he credits with him taking the weight off with the help of diet and exercise. He has a full hip replacement now, and that's the best. And currently, this is the best he's ever looked in years, and he's only going to continue to lose weight going forward and getting in even better shape. We see a picture of him with Mark Henry, and these two are very close. He said that he's lucky to have met him and bonded with him in WWE. They experienced a lot together. Says that he loves him. He recalls a story. He recalls when he inducted Mark Henry into the WWE Hall of Fame just last year, and that he was going to wear all black. And he had a backup white shirt, like the tuck shirt that you wear under the tux, that was white, but that didn't really fit him anymore after losing so much weight. But he ended up deciding to wear that at the Hall of Fame because he gave his black tux shirt to Mark Henry, who completely forgot all of his. I think he forgot his tux shirt, not his tux. He forgot the tux shirt. And Big Show, being the cool dude that he was, gave up his comfortable black shirt to give to Mark Henry, just so Big Show could wear his uncomfortable old white shirt that no longer fit him and he looked like a goof. But that's how good of a friends they are, which is really cool. And the last picture we see is of Big Show winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal back in 2015 at WrestleMania 31. He said that his entire career, it was a cool accomplishment because his entire career has been based around Andre. He heard all the stories, from Timmy White and all these other people about Andre's life. He said that, Andre probably, if you ever met him back in the day, wouldn't likely like him at first, but he would eventually warm up to him. But he understands the pain that he went through, and he says that Andre was larger than life because now with the internet, people could see Big Show all the time. He's on TV constantly. Andre was a real fucking spectacle. This guy was a true attraction, and only showing up once in a while and being kept so strong, being booked to look so strong for so many years, we will never see anything like that again, I don't think. But he said, despite the fact that Andre is larger than life, people really did not understand the person that he was on the inside. And he credits Andre for being, if it wasn't for Andre, Big Show would not be where he is today. He really set the standard for big, for big wrestling, wrestlers, whatever. I was going to say big shows, big men, big giant wrestlers in the years that followed. And Andre, deserves all the credit for that, just for being the spectacle that he was in the time that he was around for many, many decades. And that was it. That does it for this edition of WWE Photo Shoot with the Big Show. Great show here. It lasted about 26 minutes. I've never been the biggest Big Show fan, but like I said about a special that aired on the network not too long ago, the Rebuilding Big Show special, I thought this was cool. Gave some awesome insight on various points in his career, and they covered pretty much everything, working with Brock Lesnar, working with Sheamus, Andre the Giant, Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, The Rock, Stone Cold, Vince McMahon himself, John Cena, all of his greatest rivals and moments and matches. Really enjoyed this special, so be sure to check it out on the WWE Network, the Big Show episode of WWE Photo Shoot. On that note, guys, be sure to like this video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more content. Coming up tomorrow here on Network and Chill on the channel, I will be reviewing Season 1, Episode 19, I think it's Episode 19, of Ms. and Mrs. as it aired on the USA Network this past week, so stay tuned for that. Until then, guys, have a great rest of your week/weekend. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.